thought this game couldn't get any better. So obviously you can travel around Waco Mundo, as you guys can see, but bruh, they've really outdone themselves in terms of just how this exploring works for this game. So fair play to the developers. They have, yeah, this is so cool. Anyway, right. So as you guys know, I've done the deed on summoning for my Nell, of course. There she is in all her glory. Still waiting on how we can obtain the smaller version of her. That'll probably be given to us within week 2, week 3. But for right now, I just kind of wanted to go over her build and give you guys a bit of a rundown on how to kind of utilize her. I'm still trying to figure out a decent rotation for her. But for right now, it's more so of just kind of understanding this character in particular. So, hello, good friend. Alright. So, I have absolutely, as you guys can see, maxed her out to the goddamn brim. Yeah. So, she is completely done up. Completely done up. Duped out, you name it, shebang. Obviously, starting to work on her link through the event. So now that I've got one part of it, we could just kind of throw that into the mix, of course. But essentially, in terms of building her up, I'll give you guys a rundown on the stats on what I'm currently doing right now. So I have 2 middle piece sets. I've got the wrong one on right now, actually, so we're gonna have to switch that up. But essentially, what you're looking at is you want to focus and prioritize to make sure that you've got a lot of abnormal damage at play, because that is something that you want to really truly benefit from. And then realistically, if you can bump your crit rate up a little bit more to what I have, then I think that'll be more beneficial. And if you can in some way get that crit damage up to like over 100%, you'll be solid. Obviously, attack stat is something that you want to cater to, so again, I'm kind of off a little bit. I do want to get to the 4500 mark, but I mean, that's not too bad. But anyway, when it comes to the set itself, I do have a crit rate set. Now, unfortunately, I've not been lucky on the middle set, but we're just going to apply this crit rate set on. And it does drop my attack, but it does give me the 60% plus the 105, which I'm very happy with. It keeps my abnormal damage at play. You have to also remember that with this Nell, she does benefit from that crit rate. Now, in terms of the only crit rate support that she has, it is through her 4th dupe, if I can remember correctly. So for the most part, and for majority, even if you, well, if you are content with just B2 in this Nell, then yeah, heavily focus on critical rate. That's what I would suggest. But anyway, yeah, so coming over to the builder of her. This is kind of what I'm working with right now. So obviously you want to go for the thrust. That's going to be the main skill that you want to kind of cater to. Now, in terms of substats, what are we looking at? Obviously, the 2 prime stats that I would say that you really want to make sure that you have is obviously normal damage. That's a given, as well as crit rate. If attack and crit damage appears, fantastic. If you get ult charge appearing up, that's also pretty decent too. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but realistically, abnormal crit damage, that's kind of, oh sorry, crit rate is kind of prio. Crit damage, attack is kind of the additional 2 that you want to kind of look out for. If ultimate charge is thrown into the mix, then again, that is not a bad thing, right? So just kind of want to go over that. Obviously, I think just in general, your crit rate main stat is going to be catered to. If for whatever reason you're able to, like, if I manage to do a crit damage set on the 2nd slot and manage to get the crit rate, let's say up to 50%, and you have at least 4 dupes into Nell, then that is doable. Because you got to keep in mind that's an extra 20% that you can actually buff up on providing Nell with that crit rate increase. But I think flat out in general, crit rate is just going to be the way forward, just to kind of play it safe. Plus, you've got to keep in mind, Nell herself can benefit from an increase of, I don't know, like 120 crit damage increase if you look at her kit. We'll go over the kit just in case, just to make sure that we are doing things correctly. But I think just to play it safe, crit rate will be here. And then again, substats wise, I mean, crit damage being thrown in, ultimate abnormal damage. I mean, this isn't bad at all. To be fair, out of all my sets, the middle set has been giving me a lot of the issues. So this is kind of like the best that I've got for right now. But in due time, we'll do better, because again, that middle stat getting that +2, that I think that's HP, that is just horrendous, so we don't want that. This, on the other hand, this is exactly what you want. So I've got double abnormal damage play on hand. Obviously, abnormal damage is something that you want to cater to as the main stat. If only one of the attack was crit damage, this would have been heaven, but like something like this is extremely solid. So again, just kind of prioritizing the offensiveness, or the offensive stats, of course. So in terms of building NEL, that's predominantly what you're looking out for. So main stats, abnormal, critical rate, thrust, and then obviously substats, abnormal, crit rate, going into crit damage attack, right? Those are going to be the key four. If ult charge pops up, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, for the case of NEL, it's actually decently beneficial, so yeah, you don't want to go wrong with that. So that's kind of going over the build. Oh, I should also say that I got actually pretty lucky, because like I've got ultimate damage increase of 22.5. I've got battlefield skill damage increase of 22.5, and every time you do an additional battlefield skill, attack goes up by 12% of the damage of it all. And then combat skill damage increased by 30%. So like, it's not bad in terms of the 6-star buffingness. So yeah, not too bad on that part. So that's pretty decent too. Just before we get ahead of ourselves and I show you guys some gameplay in terms of how to utilize NEL, I should say that obviously the thrust element is going to be getting that plus 20%. I think, if I can remember correctly, beforehand it was saying all allies, unless I'm tripping and it's always been thrust damage at the end. But either way, yeah, Gin's going to be benefiting a lot from the support of NEL, which is beautiful. So obviously with the first dupe, it's more so just affecting the field skill once you activate the ultimate. So yeah, increased damage on that part, so that's fairly easy, fairly simple to utilize. But it's the second dupe where we can really benefit from that plus 80% critical damage, of course. From this, it will be activated through the resurrection state, which is from when you transform. So when you transform, what you want to do is you want to benefit from activating the technique, and you'll know that you've done it right because well, the whole field would just kind of spin, should I say. I mean, yeah, you guys will see the gameplay once I kind of go over it. But yeah, after using the flying throw, if fighting wheel is 2 or above, press the technique button again. Now teleports next to the enemy, draws a spear, and charges again, dealing 960. I mean, this is level 1, by the way, so she's doing a ton more damage, of course, and this will apply 1 green boost, of course. So yeah, through that, special attacks as well as the final hit on the counter attack, that will give her the 1 stack. So that's 1, 2, 3. So that's 2 for 6. You'll be able to wait it out to get the technique again. So it's doable to get the plus 80. So that's something to take note, of course. Now, obviously, I do have her 4th dupe. So the play on hand with NEL, before you do any big attacks, realistically, once the counter attacking is available for your allies, you really want them to come on in, cast your counter attack, and at that point, that is when NEL will get the extra 20%, as well as 40% on top of if you already have this in effect, which means that's 120 on the crit damage, of course, so just kind of bear that in mind. I should mention also that you can get an extra 40% on the critical damage, so that's 160% if you're looking at her whole kit, what she can push. Okay, so to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on how NEL works in terms of obviously capitalizing on her buff. So the ultimate is pretty much at the ready, so what I will do is I'll just make sure that my Urahara is at the ready. So again, this isn't the best rotation. Well, I'm not exactly doing a good rotation for her. It's just more so showcasing NEL. So 1.5 mil. Jesus Christ. So we'll activate the skill right now. Right, boom. We'll do the counter attack. So realistically, we're just kind of rushing for that ultimate. The field skill will kind of build up on its own. Once you do that dive attack, that will activate one of the counter attacks. So then at that given moment, you've now activated NEL's 4th dupe, so you can actually benefit from dropping the ult here. I actually should have dropped Urahara's ult here if I wanted to maximize damage. That would have hit over 2 mil. And then at this given moment, you want to kind of just maximize the skills, because obviously at this point, we are building up that crit damage. So what I will do is I will just kind of go all in here, get her ultimate at the ready. There we go, switch out to Urahara. I should have done this beforehand, by the way, so that was a mistake on my part. NEL's at the ready, we can go straight with the ultimate. We will stay in the resurrection state. 4.6 mil, very nice. And we can pretty much reset and go again terms of being able to reapply all of our buffs. So we'll do this, we'll get the crit damage increase for the whole squad. There we go, it's at 4. So pretty much everything is in effect, of course, so you'll always maximize the damage output and have everything prepared. So almost 10 mil. I've managed to do 11 mil, so that's pretty crazy. But again, the consistency through the allies counter-attack is always going to be there. So we will just kind of break that. Again, NEL is just going to be just beautiful in terms of damage. You're always going to be capping on the abnormal damage play, so that's always going to be there. So we'll activate the field skill. That should do a decent amount of damage. 5 mil, Jesus Christ. Alright, so what we'll do here is we will build up her spiritual pressure. Once it's built up, activate the counter attack. There we go, so that's Nel's 20% crit rate and 40% crit damage. Urahara will push him up a little bit more, drop the ult. There we go. Boom, 2.7 mil, very nice. And then we'll do the skill. This will activate the second dupe. And there will be more for NEL, of course. There we go. And now at this point, we're just chasing that ultimate. Buffs are all still in effect. Nothing's going away, so we are good. There we go. Once you do the ultimate the first time round, it will activate the 4th dupe. 6 mil right there. We'll activate the skill right now. There we go. Good damage. I cannot take that away. Good damage right there. Right, we'll activate this. And then we can go back into NEL. And then we'll do the counter. There we go. That's max stacking on the crit damage. Everything is set to go. We'll drop the ult. And yeah. Okay, well, a little bit less than before, but alright. So yeah, just kind of wanted to go over in terms of how NEL is kind of working. So for the most part, I was just kind of showcasing her with Urahara in terms of if you want to maximize and utilize NEL in the max way possible, then that's kind of primarily what you're looking at. Obviously, the whole 4th dupe and the whole going into an ally and counter-attacking, if you don't have the 4th dupe available, then at that point you're realistically going to be using that to kind of break the enemy's spiritual pressure, to then probably utilize your support to apply the buffs and just kind of exclude the whole going into the ally to gain the additional buff. Although it's just kind of like a added bonus, because technically speaking, I'm utilizing the Urahara switching to get him going to push more for NEL, and it's just fairly easy to activate that 4th dupe because it's practically straightforward. It's just an added bonus if you're able to get there, and it does more for NEL, of course, if you are wanting to use NEL in that more of a DPS fashion, but it just supports her a little bit more as an attacker, of course, as well as the damage output that she can dish out. But overall, she's a phenomenal character, and in terms of how you want to kind of utilize her, that's kind of what we're looking at, of course. Obviously, the field skill, the field skill does take a bit of a charge up, because it does come from and does require like combat skills, special attacks, and whatnot in order to get that friendship point. So yeah, outside of that, I mean, well, then again, you guys saw the damage. It does pack an absolute punch, of course, but it is the abnormal damage at play to what NEL is really dishing out, and the amount of more of an increased damage that she does because of that play. And again, that consistency of that plus 20 corrosion that will always be equipped on the enemy, it's pretty disgusting to how ongoing that is. So that's pretty huge, of course. And for the abnormal damage play, it's pretty up there right now with the release of this NEL. But yeah, essentially when it comes to NEL's rotation play, excluding the full rotation play, just specifically looking at NEL, primarily with what I've just done, of course, is kind of what you're looking at, because realistically it's that second dupe that will require you to maximize your technique attack, your counter attack, ult, of course, because you need to stack up the +4 in order to get that +8% to max it out before doing the ultimate, of course. So that way, well, then again, the first ultimate is not too bad, because it's the second ultimate which will allow you to do the most. So that's also a bit of a W, you know. So in terms of the longevity of that transformation state. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of going over NEL, as well as building her, and the key things to look out for when using her to maximize damage. Gonna figure out a rotation play on her for a team comp, probably with Gin, since that's pretty much going to be the broken team, the meta team as I like to say. And then we'll come back to check that out. But for right now, ladies and gentlemen, this Nell, she a beast. Let me tell you, she a beast, and I stick by my word. If you are in need, and if you are new to Bleach and you're in need of a unit, she can do 2 for the price of 1. She's got that tactical role sorted, and she's got that DPS role sorted. So, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone is what I like to say. You can literally 2-man run with Nell and Urahara, and you're chilling. So, there you go.